Hi, my name is Misha, and I'm doing New York City Teaching Fellows. I wanted to teach. I just I just decided that recently that I wanted to teach. And before, I thought about doing research or going to medical school, but I'll be teaching for the next 2 years at least. And I'll be doing it in Brooklyn. And for my first part of New York City Teaching Fellows, I had to do an observation, and I thought it would be good to catalog my experience in New York City Teaching Fellows because it might be interesting to someone who knows. So here it is. And my experience was I went to an undisclosed high school. The teachers were very friendly there. I got to observe two biology teachers, and I'm a cellular and molecular biology major from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And I got to observe one teacher who was a veterinarian, and he was very knowledgeable about biology. And he gave very interesting observations of talking about his sister, who was, well, the topic was that they were talking about reproduction, and he was talking about menopause and puberty, and he mentioned his sister who was growing up in the 60s and 70s, and he called her a flower child, and he said that she ate her placenta, and he talked about how she tanned her nipples, and just in a high school class, and it was very interesting. And I had never known that if you don't tan your skin, then it's sensitive, and if you do tan it, it becomes less sensitive. So if you have chafing when you're nursing babies, because the nipples aren't usually exposed, so they're very sensitive, but if you sunbathe them, then they become less sensitive and less chafing. So that's why she was doing that, and she was out sunbathing without a top on, and he was a 12-year-old boy, and he discovered what a woman looked like from his sister, and so he was just talking about different stories, and it wasn't that much that he was going over very specific ideas and concepts in biology like you do at the university, but he just talked about stories from his life, and it was interesting to see because I remember that I really didn't learn anything from my high school years, and remembering some nice stories like that would be good. But maybe it'd be even good to remember and know biology, but that seems like there wasn't too much of a challenging curriculum there, because as the second teacher I was talking to described the way they teach it, the curriculum is way too broad, that they teach based on whatever their interests are of the teachers, because they can't get through everything and the students won't understand, I guess. But that seems like it's a very sad situation, because I want to be able to teach children everything. Just teach them biology, teach them about, I've been thinking about how could I teach them, and you could basically divide it in 5 different groups. The first group is amino acids, proteins. Second is nucleic acids with DNA and RNA, that's the information. Then you have sugars, that's third group. Fourth group, carbohydrates. Well, third group is sugars, carbohydrates. Fourth group, fatty acids and triglycerides and glycerols and steroid hormones. It would all go into lipid derivatives. And then the fifth group would be ions. And everything in biology fits in those 4 categories basically. And if I could just explain the molecular basis for all of those 4 things, I think I could do that in 1 year, and that would explain everything in biology. And we'll see how it works. And then the second teacher, he was an interesting person, and he was a Christian, and I talked to him after class, and he was talking about how he teaches evolution, and he doesn't really want to teach evolution. So it's interesting to see that, how diverse it is. But he still teaches evolution, but we'll see how I'll do it, because I definitely believe that macroevolution is a good idea and it's worth teaching, and all of its broad ideas, but he didn't feel that same way. So it'll be a very interesting experience, and this introduction to me observing was a good way of seeing how it's done, because the two teachers were completely different. The first teacher, he was about just giving personal stories, and he lectured a little bit, and then the other person, he was very strict on people, and it seemed like his children feared him somehow, and he also lectured, but not so much either. So it doesn't seem like there's really that much content-oriented work going on there. Unlike when I'm studying for the MCAT right now with Kaplan, it's so content-based, and I'm learning tons. So I think the kids could learn tons if they were only provided with good material and very concisely formatted. So I'll be thinking about that quite a bit. And that's it for now.